After a 25 plus year career in corporate America, my guest today became a certified life, relationship, sex, and intimacy coach, certified matchmaker, author, inventor, and keynote speaker. You've gotten to know her from Bravo's Love Match Atlanta, where together with her business partner, Kelly Fisher, she specializes in helping women of power balance their career, personal, and love lives. Please welcome to Intimate Details with Dr. Tiff, Miss Dana Gilmore.
You.
Dana.
Hello. Thank you so much for
Hey.
having me. I
Oh
appreciate
my
that.
gosh. Thank you for being here. Listen, you are the first matchmaker ever that I have ever known, and certainly ever been on this program. First matchmaker I've ever known. Definitely the first Black matchmaker I've ever even known of.
Yay.
This is wild to me, and I'm so fascinated by this career.
It's a fascinating career, actually. And you know what? It's this profession has gone on for years and years and years. It's just not
Yes.
customary to our culture. That's what it is.
That's what it
That
is.
part,
That's what it is.
right?
We don't know nothing about this
No,
foolishness.
no. So can you imagine me call it like going home to my husband? I have this huge, cushy executive position in corporate, right? In business
Yes.
development, marketing, and advertising. I'm like, you know what, honey? I want to leave corporate and be a matchmaker. My mother was like, are you nuts? You can leave that good corporate
Exactly.
job, that good corporate job.
Exactly. That good corporate job with them benefits, with the, yeah.
We want to spread love. I want to spread love. I want to bring people together. It was already doing it unofficially, just with friends, but I'm like, yeah, I want to do this. I want something that has purpose and something that
Yeah.
makes me feel good. And my business partner was on board, and we were like, let's do this. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you, Dr. Tiff, when we started, we opened our doors, and within 2 months, we were both able to, because we used to work together in corporate. So we quit our cushy corporate job within 2 months because we had so much notoriety and so many clients coming on board. Can you imagine the need in our culture for this particular process? And they were coming in droves. So we were able to quit within 2 months, and I've never done anything else. I've never looked back. Neither one of us.
How long has it been now that you've
11 years this year.
11 years.
Yeah.
Being a Black matchmaker.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. 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 Okay, so I've got so many questions. So how does one become a matchmaker? How does one become one today? Because I imagine it's wildly different than when you did it, because evolution. But when you decided, okay, I'm leaving my corporate job to do this crazy thing that I don't know a lot of people of color that do it.
Right.
How do you solidify yourself as a matchmaker? What do you need to do?
A couple of different things. So the transition was a little bit different for us because my business partner and I both had challenges in our marriage at the time, and we supported each other through those challenges. And we decided, we're really good at this. And we realized that every time we had gone to speak to C-level executives, as that was part of our role, we would find ourselves in the corner. Like they were just asking us questions, and they just started telling us all their personal business. Well, you don't even know us. And we were like, we are really good at this. Let's go back to school. Let's get credentialed. Let's become life and relationship coaches first, because we had originally planned to just be relationship coaches. But then, we had so many like amazing Black women that were like, you know what? I feel great about myself right now. I really want to meet someone. Who do you have? And we're like, we don't have anybody. Like, how do we? We don't have anybody. So how do we? So let's add this additional layer to our company. So we we had gone back to the Matchmaking Institute in New York, got credentialed, got certified in that. I didn't even know it was a thing until we started researching.
I'm learning today that it was a thing. I didn't know it was a thing either.
It's the whole thing. And we had gone back to school, got credentialed in that as well. And then, again, we had so much notoriety right away that we were forced to open up our business a little bit sooner, because the New York Post came to the school and did a story on us. That was our first press release,
Oh
was the
my
New York
gosh.
Post. And so we weren't even prepared to open our
Wow.
business. But when the Post does a press release,
Right.
you
You
get it done,
better get,
right?
yeah, you
And
better get it
so,
done.
and we became national instantly. We were both living in North Carolina at the time in Charlotte, and we had planned to just start out small, start local. We couldn't, because when the Post does something,
Yeah, it's national. It's
yeah,
national.
and that's what happened.
It's so funny because in our last interview we were talking about the concept of going viral, and one of the things I didn't say but I've heard over time is like nobody, you think you want to go viral but you really don't, and part of the beauty of not is being able to build an infrastructure and having things in place so that
Yes,
when you have that big moment, you're able to support and sustain it and truly
absolutely,
reap the harvest and the benefit from it. So
absolutely.
how was it like out the gate before you even start
Uh,
your business to have this big moment of people looking to you to do what it is you're essentially still studying to
yeah,
do?
we had never done it, and so we had, and then I think what happened after the New York Post did a story, Essence did a story, and that took us to our demographic. And so we thought
Yeah.
in the beginning that we would just service. We were both divorced previously, we both
Mhm.
remarried and everything, but we were like, let's really support, divorcees, single moms with children. We had an affinity for that, but that's not who came to us. So who came to
Yeah.
us were progressive, affluent Black women who had never been married, who wanted children, who had advanced in their career and
Mhm.
realized that, holy crap, I don't have any kids.
I've
I don't
done
have a
all of
man.
this.
There's
Yeah.
nobody laying next to me. How do
Right.
I meet someone when I'm so busy? I don't have time
Yeah.
to sit at a bar and look and look available. I don't. And so
Right.
it's
And look available.
what's the next thing? So
Right.
that's what happened. So we prepared ourselves where we had taken every inquiry and we responded one by one. We rallied friends and family to support us in the very beginning because the volume was
It's so
so,
fast.
it was mass, yes. And then,
Yeah.
but we were able to sustain. We weren't, by the grace of God, we were able to
Yeah.
sustain because it could have really, gone a different direction. But because I think what helps, we were savvy business women already because we had
Mm.
so many years in corporate.
Yeah.
To build an infrastructure, this was like second nature to us because we were already
Right.
business minded, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's I'm gonna go back to something that you just said. That concept of I think we've done a lot over the last I would say decade of promoting, especially on social, this idea of being booked and busy
Yeah.
and being boss women and all of these things, without recognizing that, like you said, I don't have nobody laying next to me. Like that's part of the thing that I
All over
want.
there.
We as women have been taught to like make our own money, do our own things. Don't wait on someone to buy you a house or a car. Like you don't need somebody else. You can do it for yourself. And certainly we as Black women especially are the highest degreed demographic. We are, we're just killing it out here
Absolutely.
professionally,
Yeah.
while some of us, because we have been so laser focused in our careers and our education, haven't necessarily flourished in the relationship department. And is that what you were finding?
No, absolutely, absolutely. So if you think
Yeah.
about it, culturally, we were taught by our parents, grandparents, hey, listen, go to school, do your very best, go to
Yes.
college, advance. Don't worry, books before boys. I mean, how many times
Yeah.
have we heard that? Like books before boys, like you go
Hmm.
and you do your very best and don't even think about it. Love will find you. That used to
Hmm.
work 40 years ago, right? That
Hmm.
doesn't work anymore. You have to do them simultaneously. What
Yeah.
we found though, and for years and years, we did a college tour, relationship readiness. We would go to
Mm.
colleges and talk about relationships because who teaches you about relationships? Here we have these grandparents with
Oh
10 and
no.
12 kids, and nobody told us anything, how to get them, how to
Right.
get this,
Right. Right.
so to say all that what we would find is that other ethnicities, right, would
Hmm.
go to college and they would come out with a degree, a fiance or a husband.
Mhm.
right? We'd go to school, come out with a degree and some student loans, right? And that's what,
That's absolutely.
right? That's what
Absolutely.
it is.
In
It's
that order.
thinking in that order, thinking that love will find us because we were like, nope, we got to get this, we got to get this money, we have to work hard, we have to prove ourselves.
Yeah.
So we've been
Yeah.
fighting for a
And
very long time as
that's
culture
a whole cultural thing,
is.
having to prove ourselves on so many levels. Like, it doesn't even just stop, with the yeah.
No,
Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. Yes,
so,
understood.
yes, and so that's
Oh
what
my
happened.
goodness. So,
Hmm.
okay. So do you guys primarily in your business, do you primarily service women or do you work with women and men?
Yeah, so we do both. So
Okay.
the majority of yes, the majority of our clients, about 80%, I would say, are women, and then about
Mhm.
20% are men. But the more men are coming here lately, and it's just
Yeah.
been like, especially in the last 2 or 3 years, they've been coming over because again, they're finding that I'm so busy. I work. I'm traveling for
Mhm.
work. All the time, and I'm not really meeting anyone. I'm coming home to an empty house,
Mhm.
and I want
Mhm.
to find go to dinner. There's someone there, and vice versa. But majority of our clients are women.
Okay. And I know lots of clients really, or lots of my clients anyway. I specialize in sex and relationships, and you know, many of my clients that are working on finding that right person have had to kind of resort to online dating, which
Yeah.
I know so many people have grown wary of, which I can only imagine you get that a lot, that people are tired of trying to figure out this whole online dating landscape that is constantly changing. What makes online dating so tough and matchmaking kind of the antidote to that?
Oh gosh, great question. So when you think about online dating, you think you have to put in a time. It's like a part-time job. So you
Mhm.
can't just put your photo and your profile up there and expect to have droves of men or women to follow you and find you and initiate conversations.
Right.
It just doesn't happen like that. You're competing with 150,000 new singles every day on these apps. That's how many
Mhm.
people are joining. So that's a statistic.
Wow.
So what happens is it's almost like if you do that, you put in you're putting your picture and your profile up there. It's like putting a for sale sign in the backyard that no one knows is there.
Mm.
No one knows it's there. So it's useless.
Mm.
So you have to be intentional. You have to at least carve out 30 to 60 minutes a day. Busy professionals don't really
Who
have that
has
time.
time for that?
It's work. It's a part-time job. And so you're sifting and you're reading. And so you're sifting through the profiles with, you know, men with no shirts, men with no teeth, men with all this. And you're like, son, I don't have time for this. And you get frustrated. I don't have
No.
time for this. But I will say, there are some gems online if you put in the
Yeah.
work and if you sift through. So the difference between online dating and matchmaking is that we're doing the picking for you. So we've gotten to know
Mm.
you, we've coached you, we know what it is that you need versus what you want.
Mm.
And then we're putting you in the same room with compatible people. Now, we can't control chemistry. However, we
Right.
can control compatibility.
Compatibility. So you just said something very interesting about you coach
Oh,
the
absolutely.
the person who is looking for love.
Yeah.
What does that look like? What are you saying to me right now?
Oh,
What is
absolutely.
what
So
is that?
it's a requirement within our company. Don't know what other matchmakers are doing, but it's a
Mhm.
requirement in our company because that's our secret sauce. So it's almost like
Mm.
if you continuously do the same thing over and over in relationships, and you get the same result, you have to do something different. You
Mhm.
do.
For
And
sure.
so it's and if I put someone who's compatible in front of you, you don't know how to talk to them. You don't
Mm.
know how to express your needs and your wants and your desires and things like that. Conflict resolution, all those things you've never learned it. How
Mhm.
oftentimes we didn't grow up seeing it, and we don't
Mhm.
know how to navigate this dating space. Unfortunately, we have so many singles that are very shy, very, very much introverted, where
Mhm.
they just don't even know how to, they clam up, their hands get all clammy and sweaty
Yeah.
especially when they're attracted to someone. Now, if we put them across the
Oh,
table from somebody that's unattractive, then they'll
they got
suck
to
them
get
like
the
a
gas.
minute. But when it's someone that has some potential, they're like, oh. They start, blotching. And so that's what happens. So again, we prep
Yeah.
you first to get you prepared for the date, just so you know conversation topics. Because here's the thing,
Yeah.
people know within 8 minutes if they're going to ask you out again.
Oh,
They
really?
do. They're going to ask you for a second date. They know within 8 minutes. Yeah.
Huh.
So that first 8 minutes is huge. It's a great first impression. And, oftentimes, historically we would come in and talk about work because that's all we know. That's all we've been
Right,
doing for the
right.
last 20, 25
Well,
years,
and it's
right?
also comfortable because it takes the focus off of me. I don't have
Yeah,
to like be vulnerable at all. I can talk about this
absolutely.
distant thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And most of the time, you'll say, well, tell me what you do. Oh, they'll rattle it off. Oh, I do this, this, and this, and this with their career. So tell me what you
Mhm.
do on a Wednesday. Tell me what you do on a Saturday morning. It's like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think y'all want to know what
Yeah.
I do on a Saturday morning. Lay in bed till 10 if I'm lucky, like
Eating popcorn,
absolutely.
watching
Yeah.
Netflix.
Nothing if I can, probably
Yeah,
not take a bath until 2. Please don't
exactly.
ask me what I do on Saturday.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's not
Exactly.
cute. It's not
Exactly.
cute.
You don't have answers like, oh, I read. No man wants to know that you read.
Right,
wants
right,
to know if
right,
he wants to know if he can have fun with you, if he can bring you around his friends, his family,
right, right.
engage with you in that way. So yeah, so we
And
forget what's
today in 2024, and I imagine so what's the average like age range would you say your sweet spot for the women and men that you work with?
yeah. So I'll give you a range. So our client uh, roster is anywhere from 30 to 55. The
Okay.
sweet spot, however, is around that 40 mark because
Okay.
um, they realize, wow, I thought that I would at least have a child or two by now, and I don't. And
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
many of our clients have already frozen their eggs because they
Mm.
it's just not happened. So they're trying to.
Right.
I mean, they're preparing for a family. In order to have a
Mm.
family, you need a partner. So it's like,
Right.
let me, try to get this together first, and then we'll
Got
go there.
you.
About 40 is our sweet spot.
Okay. So when you look at that, 30 to 50 range, 40 being the sweet spot, let's talk about the 40s.
Mhm.
What's common within that range? What what is the reason you would say why many of them are single at that
Mm,
stage in their lives?
Oh gosh, great question.
And I know
I
it could probably be all over the
it,
place, but what are you
yeah.
seeing today in 2024?
So I think that what we've seen over the years is that they're they're so focused on work.
Mm,
Work has become a priority. Their personal life has not. And
mm,
they'll get. And what we always say is like, listen, you give this company, get okay. So let's give them 10 hours. Let's give them because in corporate America, you know, 8 hours is nothing. They expect about
mhm,
10. Give them 10 hours, but after 7 o'clock, that's your time, non negotiable. Put
mhm,
yourself and your personal life, make it a priority. So I think that in that sweet spot, they don't make their love life a priority. They're tired by the time they get home. They
mhm,
don't feel like dressing up and going out. We always say you are on the market 24/7, not just when you decide to dress up and go outside, but
mm,
anytime you step out the door is a potential to meet someone.
mm,
Anytime you go to the
mm,
dry
mm.
cleaners, anytime you go to the grocery store, anytime you go to the gas station, there's an
Right.
opportunity for you to meet someone. But I think that um, women, I'll start with women. I think that they are sometimes unrealistic about what they can actually command in a
Mm,
person. They feel like, I have this amazing career. I should have this amazing man. Well, those two have nothing to do with the other. Right. And so
mm,
they feel like that. A lot of times they're so like, I would say stuck in their ways. It's like, I've been doing it this long, all this time,
mhm,
not sure that I'm willing to change. And I'm not sure I even want to change. And so whoever I meet
yeah.
is going to have to accept me the way that I am right now. And so as a coach, I'm like, well, we probably need to tweak that because we need you to be kind of 2.0, be a better
R
version of Dr.
right.
Tiff. I mean, sometimes
Right,
we just need,
right.
so Yes, I
Yeah.
feel like we don't want you to alter your personality and alter who you are, just be a better version because whatever you're doing, it's not working.
Whatever you're doing is not working. There's potentially a reason why you might be single in this stage in your life. So that means there, if you want to be partnered with someone, there may be some things that you might need to shift and change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not that you
Absolutely.
need to be a different person.
Right.
Love who
Correct.
you are, love you down. But
Correct.
there may be some things that we need to shift a
Yeah.
little bit to make you more marketable.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And
for
keep
the
more marketable because here it
yes.
is. We don't want to admit it, but we're competing. Even when you go
Mm,
out with your girlfriends and you all go to hear live music here in Atlanta, there's live music on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. You can
yes.
find somewhere to go, have a
Yes.
great meal, and listen to live music at any given moment. So when you go out with
Mhm.
your girlfriends, believe it or not, if they're all single, you're competing with them as well.
Mm.
So you're still competing. And so I think that men have more options and more choices than we do, unfortunately.
Think so?
Um, yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
Absolutely. I mean, even an overweight, unattractive man has more choices than sometimes
Huh.
women. Unfortunately,
Why do you think that
they
is?
have more options for them.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's because here's the thing: the trends have
Because
changed.
anybody want that? I'm trying to figure this out. Help.
Yeah,
Help me.
yeah. Well, here's the thing: because I think that sometimes we want companionship.
Mm.
We want
Mm. Mhm.
companionship. And it's
Yeah.
like, you know what, let me just try this. And they always
Yeah.
have somebody. But here you have all of us, I'm sure all of us have like so many great friends. And we're like, why are you single? But then this other man walking down here, I'm
Right,
like, what
right.
in the world? How does he have somebody? And I
And
don't. So
I guess what you're saying does kind of like I get what you're saying. There is a I guess a pattern for us and especially black women I think where we have been told taught just don't settle. If I have a
right.
master's degree, he should have a master's degree.
Correct.
If I'm working, this fancy corporate job and bringing in six figures, he should be bringing in six figures. That we've kind of set a standard so high that we're missing the compatibility mark. We're setting our sights and our standards on someone who is our we're intellectual, professional, whatever equal but not checking for, you know, what are his values? How
Right.
does he treat me well? Do we can we laugh? Can we kick it? Can we go on vacation together and not, one of us feels like there's some couples that I like some of my favorite couples to hang out with is are those who kind of complement each other. Like I have a one couple that's coming to mind right now where one of them is just such a planner and loves to plan everything like with their, vacations, restaurants, all the things. Loves to plan. And the other person is so fine. They both are high powered, very professional people, but like so okay with letting the partner have like, okay, this is your thing, you do that. And but I also see where it could be incompatible if they both were just high drive and I want to be the person in charge. I want to be the person that plans. I want to be the person that says where we go and what we do. See, that's not going to work for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. And so, I think that in relationships, when you are looking, if you're meeting somebody organically, it's important to have those conversations and ask some of the probing
Mhm.
questions to kind of gauge their integrity, morals, values, how they
Yeah.
view family, how they view what does their friends think about
What
them?
are yeah, what does their
Yeah,
friend group
all of
like?
those. Yeah, that's important. I mean, once you
Yeah.
observe that, you're like, it's not so much that this person has to be 6'4" and and strikingly gorgeous or any. It doesn't doesn't matter. I think that
Right.
when you start to evaluate, especially in this phase of our life, we're looking
Mhm.
for quality of life. We're looking to
Yes.
mirror our lives.
Yes.
So it's almost like, can we grow a family? I think that it's
Yeah.
important that we view relationships and as we're looking for someone special, it's almost like, for lack of a better word, like breeding. Can I breed with them? Can we breed together, right? Because if you think
Ooh,
about you took two pedigrees together, you're going to breed greatness. You're going to breed,
yeah.
the goal is to breed perfection. However, both of you haven't but master's degrees is not equal perfection. What
Mm-mm.
equals perfection is when, like you said, with your friends, when they complement each other, when you're
Yeah.
allowed to be yourself in this
To be
relationship,
exactly who
when
you
you're
are.
allowed to be expressive, and your partner is confident in allowing you to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's a great balance of a relationship. And I've been married this year, be almost 22 years. And
Mm.
I'm fairly whimsical. I mean, I can be here one day, but my husband's
Yeah.
very structured. He's a West Point guy. So he's very structured. He's very logical. Me, not
Mm.
so much. So we balance each other. We
Yes,
balance. I'm
yes.
a risk taker. He isn't, so he
Yeah.
allowed me to take a risk and start a matchmaking agency. He allowed me
Right,
to
right.
let me add this other layer of business. Oh, I'm thinking about doing this. Have at it. He's going to be right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, yeah, doing the thing,
Right here.
holding it down. Holding
Right.
it down. And that's funny because my husband, I think about us in the same way that I will take a leap, I'll jump, I'll just do something, I'll just throw caution to the wind. This is my
Yes.
idea for the day. And he'll just be like, listen, I love that for you. If it could work for anybody, you're the girl. You go ahead and do it, sis, but not me, buddy.
Yeah.
He is
Yeah.
not that person. So I get that. Like, I think one of the things that I really do appreciate about the work that you do, is the vetting,
Hmm.
because that's kind of my gripe, and what a lot of people are so frustrated about with online dating. In the real world, in the way in which we used to meet people, before, in the good
Hmm.
old days, before online dating,
Yeah.
you knew the person that you were dating, or at least you knew someone who knew the person. You
Hmm.
could verify they are who they say they are. If they said that if you were introduced by a
Yeah.
coworker, you at least know something about the
Yeah.
person, or you know their family, or you've run across them in different circumstances or functions or whatever. With online dating, you only know who they tell you they are
Yeah.
until you find out that's not who they are.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the matchmaking process. Can you tell us about how you vet the individuals that come in for your clients?
Yeah, so several different ways, and so we take them through a series of screening to ask questions. But we use a service to vet, and
Oh,
we use a service, but we also empower our clients to use the service as well and continue the membership. Here's why: we
mhm.
can verify someone today and tomorrow they can do something crazy and end up on the news, and so we're
Right,
not going to be
right.
responsible for that. But then so the vetting process looks criminally, it's through a service. But
Yeah.
the other part of the vetting process is let's ask a series of questions that normally you wouldn't know about him until 6 months down the line. So
Mm,
oftentimes we get into relationships and we have no idea if this person desires to get married, have a family, what paint a picture of their life, what that looks like, because sometimes we're afraid to even ask. And sometimes we're like,
mhm.
oh, it'll come up.
Especially early on.
Yeah,
Especially
it'll come
early
up in
on.
conversation, or, we'll get around to that. We're like, no. So we're going to ask those questions right away. Paint me a picture of how you envision the rest of your life to look. Paint me a picture. How many women are already in rotation with you? How many women are you sleeping with?
Ooh,
How many women have you introduced to your family? If you go to a family cookout, will your family be look at you sideways and cross-eyed if you bring somebody else there, knowing you have somebody else over here? Tell us more
right.
about that. And so we ask
Wow.
those types of questions
Think
also
about how much
because
time that saves, though.
it does. And so so once we're doing the screenings, we go back and we brief our clients and we say, this is what we've learned. Ba-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
So the first date, you already feel like you're about 3 or 4 dates in because we've already asked the probing questions already. Now, whether they
I
decide that, we can't verify if
love
they're
that.
lying or not. They could be great
Right,
interviews, right? But at
right,
least
right,
we've gotten the hard questions out in the beginning
right,
about, is there potential here? Could this
right.
potentially be someone that I can share my life with?
Or am I
With
wasting
is
my
someone that I
time?
can maybe have children with or build a family.
Yeah, because if you're going into this thinking like, "Yes, I have these eggs in the freezer. I
Mm-hmm.
want to have children. That is
Yes.
super important to me. Don't want to be with someone who doesn't want to have children. However, I don't feel like it's appropriate for me to ask, "Do you want kids?" on the first
Right.
date. Going through this process allows me to at least know everyone that they're putting in front of me
Mhm.
says that
Mhm.
they are on the same path of wanting to
Correct.
have children.
Correct.
Maybe not right now, maybe not
Yes.
in the next 6 to 8 weeks,
Exactly.
but
Right.
at least I know they do
Yes.
want to have children. So those things we don't even have to, I don't have to worry
Exactly.
about that part. That is
Yeah.
clutch.
It's huge. It's huge because you're taking the guesswork out. And so we already know up front that this is you have the same end goal. And you're compatible. So we deem that as someone
Yeah.
as two people being compatible with each other. And then, like I said, we can certainly control the compatibility, but the chemistry, it's up to you. There has to be
It's up
some
to the
level.
people.
And chemistry can grow. So there may not even be
Yes,
butterflies or fireworks on
at
the first
first.
date. But when that person starts to show up for you, showing up on time, coming to, help you with your car maintenance and doing things,
Right.
the butterflies
Huge.
start to develop.
Start fixing stuff around the house, child,
Exactly. Putting up
please.
bookshelves and changing smoke detectors and stuff.
Exactly. Let me find out you handy, honey.
You might start switching and tweaking, you know what I mean? You just don't
Yes.
know.
Yes, yes, yes. So, let me ask, I have a question about money because I know that people are going to want to know that, but this
Yeah.
question just popped up in my head and I kind of want to know what the answer is or if you have an answer or a suggestion recommendation.
Mhm.
Okay. How long should a couple wait before having sex? Someone that
Ooh.
you're matchmaking and all that stuff. How
Yeah.
long would you recommend if this is someone that you're coaching, how long would you recommend that they wait before being intimate?
Oh, great question. So I think personally, because I am in the sex and intimacy space as well, and I'm sex
Mhm.
positive, I feel
Mhm.
like it's a decision that you should make together. I feel like
Mhm.
we've had clients that we'll do a pre-date call on a Friday, and we do a post-date call to see how the date went on the Friday, and Sunday they're still together. So
I
meaning
know
they've been
that's
together
right.
all weekend, right?
So you
They've
know
been
what's going
rolling
down.
around all weekend long, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think that when you
The
are
compatibility was there.
the compatibility is there. So I think that when you are comfortable with the outcome, should you
Mm.
decide to have sex sooner versus than later, if you're comfortable with the outcome, that knowing that it may change the dynamics of the relationship. If you're
Mhm.
comfortable and confident and you're willing to take that risk, I would say, at 50, no one's waiting 4 months. No one's waiting 3 months at 50. And especially if they've been waiting 5 years, they're not
Yeah.
waiting. It's going to happen relatively soon. But just be prepared to have the
Yeah.
conversation. Be prepared of what this looks like the next day.
Yeah.
Um, be prepared for that. So I try not to give a time frame, but I will say um, a way to gauge it is maybe 60 hours of FaceTime and talk time when you feel like you've really
Mm.
gotten to know each other. So it's not
Mm.
necessarily um, the 90-day rule. Don't really
Right.
subscribe to that because in 90 days you can go out once a month and that's
Mhm.
90 days. Doesn't mean that you know him any more than you did 3 months ago. But
Right,
when you
right.
spend hours on the phone, engaging, building that emotional connection,
Yeah.
um, those types of things, FaceTime with each other. That means in-person time. So knowing their mannerisms, gauging how they treat people, if they're kind,
Yes.
all those things, your body will tell you when the time is right, and just
Okay.
trust your body.
Good answer. Good answer. I like that. All right. So, this process sounds a little bit more costly than your regular online dating app.
For sure.
We are getting a lot more hand holding and service. We mentioned the vetting, we mentioned the coaching, we mentioned, just going out, asking all the hard questions, finding the people, making sure that, the compatibility is there. Um, how much does something like this cost?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I imagine that people are like, "Yeah, this sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Why would
Yeah.
anybody do online dating when matchmaking is available? It would save so much time.
Mhm.
Sign me up." Okay. How much does it cost?
Yeah, it starts around $25,000. Yeah,
Mhm.
and if you think about it, we've already saved you time, energy,
Yeah.
resources, all of those things. So it's, and the time to sift and screen,
Mhm.
interview, it just takes time. So
Yeah.
usually around $25,000 is the cost, and that's pretty average actually.
Yeah.
Some of the
Yeah.
other companies that we know of, especially the companies that are in New York, or even some of the other ethnicities, if you will, they're
Yeah.
around 50,000, 50 to 100,000. Yeah,
Wow. Wow.
yeah.
So you're getting a lot. That's not chump change. Like
Mhm.
that's a significant portion of money. So if I have 25,000 as disposable quote
Mhm.
unquote income to pay for this type of service, I would imagine that most of your clientele is fairly affluent and can
Yes,
afford this type of
for
service,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
So then how do you, if we know that this type of service is available to an elite uh type of clientele who has this type of disposable income, does that make it, is that kind of a function of why it's so hard for these people to find love and to date? Because how do you know that the person isn't there because I would want a rich person. I'd like to be married to a rich man or woman. Um, how do you know that? How do you weed out for that?
Well, I think that we do a really good job with matching more with what they need, right? Because not everybody
Mhm.
requires someone wealthy. They require, especially if your main career, in time spent working is 10 to 12 hours. You want someone that may have a 9 to 5, and that's going to be home when you get home, so that you'll have time together. So it may not
Mhm.
necessarily be an issue or something that you want. That's what you require, I should say. So
Mhm.
that doesn't necessarily mean that they're looking for someone with equal value. We've not experienced that.
Yeah.
Most of our, 'cause we have,
Yeah.
politicians, celebrities, gosh, of course, surgeons, doctors, lawyers, like that's primarily our
Yeah.
demographic.
Yeah.
And probably majority of them will tell us that they would rather have someone that treats them really well. That doesn't matter what they do. They can be an electrician. It can be, whatever, but they would
Yeah.
prefer someone who's going to treat them well, someone who's going to be stable, respect them, and they're very open. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
bonus if the income mirrors, but it's
Yeah.
not a requirement.
It's so interesting because I think we seek out, I think a lot of people have a tendency to seek out um, the same thing, something that is very
Mhm.
similar. And then what we start to realize as we age and as we have a series of bad relationships
Mhm.
is how much those things just don't matter and how bare bones uh, our needs are truly in what we need in a relationship.
Yeah. Do you like that? Do you like that individual as a person? Do you
Yeah.
respect them as a person? Should we have another quarantine, heaven forbid? Can
Mm,
you quarantine with this person for 2 months and sit
mm,
in one spot? Do you like them enough to be able to do that? Do you trust them
yeah.
enough to keep you safe and to protect you? Do I
Ooh,
mean, those
that's
things,
huge.
yes, those are things that matter, especially when you're a person of a particular age. We're looking at those types of things. We're looking at, at the end of the day, I want to retire. I don't know. I want to retire with my partner. I don't know that
Mm.
25-year-olds are looking at, we're going to retire together. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I can't wait for us to just move to Florida
Yeah.
and unretire.
No. They
No,
still
but
living with their parents. What are you talking about? Retire.
now we're like, what does your work portfolio look like? Okay, well, this is what mine looks like. We put these together. We can do this. We can do that. We can build together. Or, you know
Mm.
what? I'm looking forward to having grandchildren with you someday.
Mhm.
So when you get to a certain age, life, your perspective on life changes, and what
Yeah.
you require, and just foresee for yourself. just
It
it's different.
evolves.
It's different.
It
I'm a
evolves.
very different person even 10 years ago than I am today. I'm
Yeah.
sure that all of us are.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with a client, a few weeks ago, and this client argued me down that they were the same person that they've always been. I'm like, "You can't be." I'm like, "I know I've been seeing you for 10 years, and you are
You're different.
wildly different than the person who initially walked into my office." So, it's wild to me to think that, like, I know we intellectually know better than that, but at the same time, we think I've always been the same person. What you see is what you get. And it's just like, you're telling me that you have not evolved at all
Yeah,
in 10 years. That is disgusting.
it is. It is. And you're not
Yeah.
self-aware either. So you're in
Yeah,
denial.
no. Yeah, that
So,
part. That part. So, I imagine all of those certifications, come in handy with this work.
mhm,
How do you incorporate the skills? Like, because I'm wondering, let's say you match, right? You match with someone and you decide, like, "Ooh, this is a great relationship," or someone that I can see myself going on several dates. Like, I want to be with this person. Do you guys still, like, follow through with them, like, with aftercare and support? And, like, what if an issue arises? Like, we're having a communication challenge, or the sex, like, I love this person so much, but the sex just isn't where
mhm.
it needs to be. Are you able to incorporate some of the other training that you have into the match? Because matchmaking is a very specific job. We're getting the match,
Yeah.
but then there's, once they are matched, how do we sustain?
Yeah, we do. And it's so great because and that's the part that I love the most. I think that's my sweet spot. Like I love
Mhm.
helping couples kind of navigate through life together because it is new. It is new. It's different, and there are some peaks and valleys and ebbs and flows in their relationship. You're trying to bring two people who have never known each other, who have lived their own individual successful lives independently for
Right.
years. How do we bring this together so that naturally there are going to be some of those things, and sometimes they will have some problems with their sexual relationships, maybe especially as a particular age. And so
Mhm.
I love to help them navigate through that through communication. A lot of times people just let it kind of fall by the wayside because they don't want to talk about it, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
and that's huge for me. I specialize in tough talk. So let's talk
Yeah.
about it. Let's put it on the table. But how do we put it on the table so it will be received? And I think that
Right.
that is the key component. How it will be received, and how do we? And let's develop a plan together to move forward. Because I think if you make it clear that you're my person, I want this to work. I am here
Mhm.
with you. So let's figure this out together. And when they know that there's no judgment, you're here because of love and you want to kind of fix things in that regard. It just, I think it makes it more receptive when you're able to have those conversations. So that's the additional training that I have in the relationship. It's been so helpful, even just kind of helping them navigate through those things.
Yeah.
And then we've had so many years, not only, am I and my amazing business partner credentialed, but we've been through some things. Like people come to us
Yeah.
because we've been through some ish, like you name it. So
Yeah.
there's not
Yeah.
one thing that, someone could come to our office and sit in front of me and say, you know what? You wouldn't believe what I've been through. Oh, girl, please sit down. Yes, I would. Come talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. Because there's nothing that she has been through that I haven't experienced or helped someone already. So
Yeah.
most of the time I've already experienced it. So talk to me. Let's have a conversation.
Let's get it out so we can
Yeah.
get it over with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, communication is gotta be the number one thing that is gonna make or break a relationship. Aside from any other challenge that you might have, if you cannot communicate what you need, what you want, what you expect, what you desire, you kind of dead in the water. And so to have you there, to support not only the matching process, but how they can get through some of the challenges that maybe they face. Every couple faces a challenge or
Mhm.
two, and it's how we get through it, how we communicate through it, that, we get to the other side. So I love that. So I want to ask you about success rate of couples that you've matched, but I feel like before I can even ask that, we need to kind of define
Exactly.
success
Yes.
in matchmaking. Like what constitutes a
For
successful
sure.
match?
I love this question, and people ask it all the time. And I always start with, let me define success, right?
Oh, okay.
Because the
I thought I was
goal,
being original.
no, well, yes, of course. However, if
Um,
they come to us and they say, if the goal, so we always start with what their goal was. Just like in coaching, when you go to a therapist or you go to a coach, let's identify your goals at onset so
mhm,
we can know what we're working towards.
mhm,
And so, if their goal is to just kind of get back out there and start actively dating again, and they haven't dated in 5 years, you know,
mm.
that's success to us because now you have the skill set. So now you know how to dress like you're single. Now you know how to smile and engage in a conversation and not talk about work or your dog. So
Yeah.
those types of
Yeah.
things. So now you're armed with those tools and those skills, and you're actively dating and you're dating regularly. So that we would, and then if that was the original goal, then we deem that as success. If the original goal was to be in an exclusive relationship, being taken off the market, um, we deem that as success. So it just depends on what the goal is.
What the
And
goal
so
is. Yeah.
if, their goal is to, come in and I want to be married and by the end of the 6 month term. We can't guarantee that. There's no guarantees in any of this anyway. We don't do any guarantees.
Right, right.
We can't guarantee anybody's going to like
Yeah.
you. I can't guarantee that. I can't guarantee it. But what I can do is I can put you in front of someone who's
Right.
compatible and that
Yeah.
you enjoy the space. So I guess to answer your question, the success rate it hovers around 89%.
Mhm.
And again, it depends on
Pretty good.
the goal that they came to. But we just had an engagement over New Year's. We helped them pick out the ring. We helped them plan it.
Oh.
So we get involved in that too. And that's the fun part,
Yeah.
weddings, last year was an amazing year. Probably 6 or 7 weddings, over the,
Oh my
um,
gosh.
yeah, it's great.
That is fantastic. And I guess what I'm hearing you say too is like, don't think that just hiring a matchmaker means they're going to do all the work and you can just sit back, pick your person, and go on about your merry way. That there still is work that you got to do in order to have a relationship. You're going to have to work on yourself in the
Yes,
process.
for
You're going to
sure.
have to be willing to change some things, accept some things, get clarity, fix the things that are broken, and actively show up in a relationship in order to get whatever the achieved desired outcome might be
Continuously and consistently. So,
continuously.
I'll do the heavy lifting
Whew.
on the front end. I'm handing
Yeah.
the baton to you, and it's your responsibility to take it from there. And take it from there and be
God
consistent
bless.
because you can't do it for 2 months and think that, oh, I'm good. I can, that doesn't work like that. So again, the behavior is
Yeah.
consistent when individuals decide that they're going to be exclusive. It's because the experience is amazing and it's consistent.
Do you find that people though do walk in thinking, okay, you're just gonna match me with someone like it's almost like it's an arranged marriage or something. Like you're gonna match me with someone and then we're gonna go off and that's just gonna be it. I don't have to do no work.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So yeah, and those are when they I guess mimic that behavior early on, they're not a good client for us because they're not willing to put in the work, and you
Mm.
have to be willing to put in the work. So if that means that they're not coachable, you want an easy fix,
Cool.
and this isn't an easy fix, unfortunately. Again, I'll
Okay,
do
so
the
you
heavy
do
lift.
turn people away. You do say, "I don't want your $25,000.
Yeah,
Thank you, but no thanks."
yeah,
I'm
there was
asking.
another. Yeah, absolutely. We turned $30,000 away a couple of weeks ago and sometimes it depends on where you are geographically. So if you're in the middle of nowhere, it's going to take me more resources to be able to find someone in your local market. So I'm going. We may send our recruiters, or it's going to cost more money to be able to do that. So again, it starts at 25,000. So, but where this person was located, and they were like, the problem is everybody else. I just haven't met the right person. They never would, what was your contribution to the failed relationship? Nothing. It was,
Mm,
say, you're not ready. You're not ready. So we're not going to be able
yeah.
to work together. You're not a good
You
fit.
gotta be able to have some insight. You got to
Yeah.
be able to have some insight.
Yeah.
Certainly, there are relationship challenges that do prove themselves to be one-sided, but we also have to look at, what did I do or not do that made this a viable option, even with cheating.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful book. I can't think of the author right now, but the title is After the Affair. I think it's such a great book for
Mm,
anybody in affair recovery and
mhm,
trying to get through an affair.
mhm.
And I've utilized it a lot over the years, but they talk about how you do have to, even if in infidelity, the person who was unfaithful is obviously the one that was wrong,
Sure.
but as the one who was hurt by the infidelity, you do have to look at, and this is a hard look because we really want to focus all of the blame, shift all the blame to the person that cheated. You really do have to look at, what did I do or not do that made stepping out of this relationship a good idea in the moment for this person?
Mhm.
What
Yeah.
did I do or not do? And when you
Yeah.
can do that, when you can sit yourself down and answer that question, well, perhaps I, taunted them every time they came in the house.
Mhm.
Perhaps I wasn't, welcoming, or I belittled them, or I, talked down to them, didn't respect them. Perhaps
Yeah.
I, never wanted to have sex, whatever it was. It
Mhm.
doesn't excuse the
Mhm.
behavior that they
Correct.
did,
No deception. Right. Mhm.
but it does paint a picture that allows you to at least
Mhm.
address something within you, whether you stay in this relationship or not.
Mhm.
You'll want to address that thing so that when you're in the next relationship, you can be mindful of it and don't repeat the same thing. It's interesting when I have someone that says, every relationship I've been in, I've been cheated on, because that tells me more
Yeah.
about that person than the people that have cheated.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
something that you continuously do or don't do
Mhm.
that makes the person that you choose think this is an okay way to move forward in this
Because if you think
relationship.
about it, the other partners don't know each other. You're the common denominator.
Right. You're the common
Yeah, you're the
denominator.
common denominator. So let's revisit. And I think that when that individual can sit and self-reflect on their contribution and
Mhm.
accept it and say, you know what, were there some areas where, I failed, or were there some areas where I needed improvement? And now in this next relationship, let me work let me work on those things so it doesn't happen again, or I can do my part to or do my best to try to eliminate that happening again. That's a person that's really ready for a relationship, and they're prepared
Mhm.
to move forward and move on. But yes, the one that says,
Yeah.
it's not, they're not a good
That's
client
where the
for
rubber
us.
meets the road. Like,
Yeah.
I think identifying what it is that
Hmm.
what baggage you bring into a
Yeah.
relationship is so key.
Yeah.
But I oftentimes feel like we are put into situations as tests as well, that often, we can tell God all the time, all day long, like, I want all of these things, right? Or I'm ready for a relationship. Please send me my person,
Hmm.
right? And then you get some raggedy piece of mess and you say, "Oh, well, this must be who God wants me to be." No, He's giving you an opportunity to understand whether, how to decipher whether this is what you want or what you need.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I can give you what you asked for,
Hmm.
but are you going to look at, like, your past relationship mistakes?
Hmm.
You're going to look at the way that you've moved previously. And are you going to say, just because a warm body has come into my bed or in front of me,
Hmm.
this must be what it is? And it's not. He gives us opportunities to make great choices, but
Absolutely.
also the opportunity to mess up.
Hmm.
And it's our choice. We have autonomy in making choices about how we want to move. We can learn the lesson or think that God is playing games. And
Hmm.
he ain't playing no
He
games.
ain't playing games. Yeah,
He's not playing no games. He ain't playing no
he
games.
wants you to
He's
ready
gonna
or
give us a
not.
chance. Right. Either you're ready or you're not. And sometimes it's going to take saying no to the wrong person so that you have room for the right person. I always tell, this is another thing I always tell my clients is about seat fillers. If you've ever been to an award show or even looked at like when award shows are going to like commercial breaks, there are people kind of moving around in the
Yeah,
crowd. They hire, in Atlanta, they do it a lot too because
yeah,
we end up having a lot of reward shows here. They hire seat fillers, and those are just people, regular people like you and I, who can make a little money going to an award show and sitting in seats so that when they do pan the audience, it looks like the entire auditorium or stadium or whatever is full. But these are people that are paid to sit in the seats while, let's say, the actor is performing or a musician is performing or someone has to go up on stage and receive award. They want the audience to look full. So they put someone in that person's seat. And I like in a lot of our relationships, we are, holding seat fillers where somebody's in the seat where the person that you've been praying for is supposed to be in. But if you
yeah.
keep fooling around with the people that like
Like,
are just here wasting time
it's all right.
until it's time to move, that person that's supposed to be with you will never be able to sit down next to you.
Well, and that's how we
So
spend
you have to
years with somebody who doesn't deserve to be in your space because we
right,
think
right.
because they're tall, they're attractive, they might be fun, they might be great in bed or whatever.
We're afraid to have an empty seat. We don't
Exactly.
want to be alone.
And then,
And it's like you have to risk it. You gotta risk it. If you believe that there is that person out there for you, you gotta be able to risk being alone so
yes,
that the person that's supposed to be
uh,
with you can find their way to you.
absolutely.
Because they
Love,
could be just walking by repeatedly and see that you're with somebody. Somebody sitting in the seat. Oh, she or he must be taken. I'm just gonna keep walking along. I'll circle back in a
yeah,
little while, but I'll see if anybody's in that seat.
yeah,
Get
yeah.
them out
Get them out. Make room,
and get a matchmaker.
make space for the right one. So
Hmm.
great.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Tana, I can't thank you enough for being here, for educating me, for educating my audience on all things matchmaking. This has been so enlightening, so educational, and so fun. You guys, if you want to learn more about Tana, you can follow her on Instagram at Tana C. Gilmore. Or you can follow at the Matchmaking Duo over on Instagram and rewatch season 1 of Love Match Atlanta. I believe that's on Peacock, right?
It is on Peacock. It's on Peacock and
Fantastic.
Sling. Sure. Thank you.
I love that. Yes, please go rewatch it and just learn all you can. And if matchmaking is right for you, which I think it probably is for many folks,
Yes.
I hope that you will reach out to Tana and the matchmaking duo, give them a call, ask questions, and get on the books because I feel like 2024 is a year for love. And I feel like so many more people, now that they know that this is a viable option and that there are folks of color helping with these matches that can, navigate through any kind of cultural barriers that maybe they've experienced before in their dating journey. I think this is huge. So thank you so much, Tana,
Thank
for
you
being
so
here.
much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It has been
Thank you so
fantastic. God, thank you. Guys, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Intimate Details with Dr. Tiff. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms. And don't forget, oh my gosh, do not forget to watch your episodes on YouTube. I painstakingly, not so painstakingly, but I go every week and I post these interviews on YouTube so that you can actually watch the interview. So if you just listen to this podcast, yes, you heard Tana's beautiful voice, but now I want you to go see those shoulders, honey, because she left them out for you. They are properly bronzed and glistening. She looks amazing. I got on a frumpy sweater, but we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to talk about beautiful Tana, okay? Go over to YouTube so you can watch this beautiful woman and listen to her at the same time. Maybe you're cleaning your house. Maybe you're, in your theater and you just want some beautiful Black women on your TV. You got it. Go over to YouTube and watch all the episodes of the podcast because they're all there. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next week, ciao. Oh, one more thing. Tana, I'm going to put all of your information in the show notes. So, guys, as you're looking for more information about Tana, what she's doing, what she's up to, how you can connect with her, all that information will be in the show notes. Okay, now that's it. Bye. Ciao.
much. Thank you.